greatest way we could have kicked off the festival last year, I think, was James Murphy and Pat Mahoney at Phillips, and just everybody having a massive dance party.
Yeah, there was definitely a very diverse lineup right from the get-go, and I feel like a lot of people didn't recognize some of the bands, which was like an indication of things to come as like this festival that was going to be introducing some music to a lot of people.
It's not your grandma's festival.
I think for visitors from outside of Victoria, it probably makes us seem a little bit crazier and cooler than we are on any given Friday afternoon. Do you know what I mean?
We've covered a lot in this series, from food and beer to arts and culture. Rifflandia is a diverse and dynamic festival with lots to offer. But none of it would be possible without the music, the bands, the venues, and the fans. In this next episode, we'll really get into the backbone of Rifflandia, the music.
It's interesting to me to see Rifflandia now appear on a press kit. From an up-and-coming band, an independent band, a band that's trying to break through, and now referencing as among our career highlights is an appearance at Rifflandia. That shows me, especially if a band's from Toronto, it's from Montreal, it's even from the US, if that's appearing on their bio, it becomes something of mention.
Nick also gave us the first Mountie show ever, which was cool. That we got to play in front of a festival crowd, first show. We didn't know how it would go. And it's strange, when you play a festival, you usually play a festival after playing many, many shows, just so you already have your act together and be able to go outside where it's more difficult to hear. So to play a first show there was really cool. And then also, Hot Out Heat hadn't played in how many years?
Many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, we basically weren't playing, and then we got back together just to do Rifflandia. The ratio of laid backness to rocking out crowd is disproportionate, because I think there's not that many people go to Victoria because it's expensive and it's a pain, so people appreciate when you come, so they rock harder in the crowd, I think.
Genre-wise, it's all over the place. We really, there are no boundaries. If we think that it's something that our clientele is going to enjoy, we're the first to find a venue for it, put it on stage, let's do it.
Yeah, first year I was Dreamboat and I was opening for Man Man, and that's just like the craziest pairing. That was one of the things that made that year so exciting, was like, why is Dreamboat opening for Man Man? It's synth pop and like this crazy rock band. But it was still super fun, and everybody was having a blast at that show. And then 4 hours later, Colorbook was opening for Man Man again. Not all ages, we were at Lucky Bar, and it was like just another amazing show. So last year, I was Dreamboat opening for Bear Mountain at Copper Owl, and they were super hyped at the time, so it was like this crazy sold out capacity show, and I got to dance around in my underwear. It was pretty fun.
In the 6 years that Rifflandia has been going, they've put on well over 1,000 shows. At any given point, there may be upwards of 10 shows happening simultaneously. From big-name bands and established clubs to up-and-comers in spaces that have been converted by the festival into unique concert venues.
So many memorable shows, it's been crazy. The Phillips Backyard venue is always one of my favorites. It has such a great energy back there, and there's always something really cool. Some amazing hip-hop shows back there. De La Soul last year are like just unbelievable, really. That was such an incredible experience. I do love the park, though. It's hard to beat seeing the Flaming Lips, at the main stage in the park, or Big Boy last year was incredible.
Charlie Tuna, that was a number of years back, was fantastic, but I think my personal highlight was Lyrics Born and the Knox 3 years ago, and I recall being there with some friends and dancing the night away. I think there was people hula hooping naked on the roof. I mean, everything was going on. It was just an incredibly overwhelming experience, and I think everybody that was there that night just had their jaws dropped. The fun, the music, the venue, it all came together to create this cocktail of just an amazing experience.
I went to go see Action Bronson, and that experience was just typical of what Rifflandia can do. It's like a hot rapper coming to town, playing an amazing venue, I have a beer, my friends are here.
There have been so many bands over the years that there's buzz bands coming, or you've heard about here or there or wherever. So it's been great to. I remember Beach House. I saw Beach House at Sugar, and seriously, there was like 4 people.
The Knox, they played both a Parkside stage and Phillips. They were amazing. Like, I remember being really shocked how everyone was just so zoned in to their performance at the park. It was really cool.
Rifflandia has turned atriums into acoustic venues, Market Square into a key nighttime showcase, and has worked with Phillips Brewery in transforming their loading bay into a flagship venue for some of the most memorable moments of the festival. It can be an adventure just bouncing from one show to the next.
Like if the park lets out and you gotta get to Alex Golden before or you're racing to venue, or you know what I mean? Like it's.
Well, that's why you need bikes to beat everybody to the venues, and I don't know.
Yeah, right. And cover more ground.
Alex Golden is, it's a big, beautiful church. It's always interesting seeing people there because not only is the sound amazing, not only is kind of the sight lines amazing, but it really kind of, it really harks kind of almost a religious experience. In a lot of ways, it's a converted church, and it's rare that you'll see someone who doesn't appreciate where they are when they're performing.
One of the toughest parts of putting on a music festival is building the lineup, choosing which bands to feature and where to put them. When it's all up and running, it can feel seamless, but it takes a lot of work to create a multi-day event like Rifflandia.
Sometimes I wish, I think occasionally, that people had a little bit more perspective when it comes to that one specific thing, because it's the one thing we face every year. It's like lineup comes out and you're always dealing with talking, essentially, you know what I mean? Not that it like changes anything at the end of the day, because the lineups are booked for a reason, because we're confident that these bands are great and are gonna work, and they're booked, so it's a challenge, especially when you work so hard on the talent, and then you just like, especially social media, we all know how that works, and lineup gets launched and you're just like, bleh, Other than that, I mean, really, especially over the last couple of years, Rifflandia seems to be on this insanely positive trajectory where the city seems to be getting it on a larger scale. And I mean, last year, it was just overwhelming positive feedback from everyone I talked to. It was just like, music was great, park was great, night stage is amazing, great acts, la la la.
And I think sometimes people have unrealistic expectations of what a concert promoter does. It takes more balls than people give them credit for. It's not just money. It's time, it's energy, and above all, it's your reputation. No one wants to bring a show to town that tanks by a terrible artist, because ultimately that's on your record as a promoter. So I think that the risks they take should be rewarded more than they are, because it's not that easy to bring a Macklemore to town when he's completely unknown. It's not that easy.
Macklemore played on the second stage the year before anyone had even heard of him. So Nick and Dimitri are extremely tapped into what's going on to the music scene across North America and overseas, and they know what's going to be on the brink, and they are have great relationships with all these artists and managers and agents all around, and they know who's on the brink. They know who's going to be big, and we get them before anybody else does.
The No Such Thing performance, I have to thank Nick and Dim on that, because that was a crazy booking for them, such a huge gamble. Like the logistics of getting his 50-foot projection screened into Alex Golden Hall, I'm sure was just insane, but totally paid off for those of us that went. It was just this, like, you're in a church and you're watching like cutting edge visuals timed to his music, and that was a pretty amazing show to go see.
Just like you said they would. Apologies to all of my friends.
And that's one of the things I really like about Rifflandia and what it offers the city. I mean, it's rewriting history as we're going along. It's not the Empress. It's not the Parliament buildings. It's not Butchart Gardens. And these are great. These are iconic images and things that can never be separated from Victoria for the rest of time. But Rifflandia is coming in at a stage where it's helping shape the city. People across the world now know what Rifflandia is. and it's this unique thing, and it's hard to define, and it's ever changing, but it still is Rifflandia as tied to the city. You can't remove the two, they're connected.